Today we are talking about 4 different approaches to set up a sandbox game for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Hey everyone, Utkarsh from Spirit Bell Games here. What do I mean here by a sandbox game? I mean that there is an area or a region for player characters to explore, and there are different challenges or different threats in different parts of the regions. There's no expectation that players will go to one particular area and handle its challenge. And so the GM is left to be a little bit surprised by how the events unfold, and the players themselves, of course, do not know what direction their story will take. When compared to more guided narratives, this type of play has more potential for surprises during emergent narrative, but it also has the inverse potential of being slowed down or not feeling as fulfilling or connected because there's not inherent dramatic setups and payoffs. That said, this isn't a video talking about the merits and demerits of sandbox play. This is talking about how to do sandbox play in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. A lot of the pre-written adventures tend to be guided narratives, and Pathfinder 2nd Edition's systems, especially adding of levels to proficiency, feels like better suited for those types of guided narrative play than sandbox. But I'm here to tell you that you actually have 4 very different options to approach sandbox play, and it can be done and done well. Let's begin with option number 1. Option 1 is what I like to call easy mode. This is easy for the GM, and it gets easier and easier for players. In this version, all of the challenges that you lay out start out as level appropriate for players at whatever character levels they start out at. So let's say you start the game out at level 3. All of the challenges are seeded to be appropriate to level 3. And then as the players complete parts of the regions, they gain levels, and the other threats remain unchanged. And so they go down in difficulty as the levels go up. You as the GM, all you have to do is do the normal seeding of challenges at the start of the sandbox and then nothing else. The challenge can be that if the levels go up fast, then the threats all around become easier and easier until they just become trivial. So the best way to use the easy mode is to also use XP, because that guarantees you at least a handful of sessions. Well, it really depends on how you seed things, but if you do the 1000 XP or a slower advancement with 1200 XP to go to next level, players can enjoy the level appropriate threats in the sandbox for a longer period of time. But inevitably, this form of play has an expiry date. Once the players go up 2 or 3 levels, all the threats have become trivial. Now, the threat range of this style of sandboxing can be made a lot more generous by using proficiency without level. So if you are going this easy mode style of play, consider doing proficiency without level, which is what the Pathfinder 2e mod for Baldur's Gate 3 uses. That starting area is just this big sandbox, and also they're trying to port over from a game that is very close to how proficiency without level works in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So try it out. If you own the game Baldur's Gate 3, check out the mod to get an idea of how proficiency without level works in sandbox play. So that leads us to option 2, I call escalating challenges. In this particular form, when the player characters gain a level, that counts as a passage of time for the rest of the sandbox that hasn't been tackled by the player characters. And so selected threats in the remaining sandbox are leveled up because time has passed, and whatever villains or monsters are behind that threat, they have gotten more powerful because no one has tackled them. So this creates a sandbox that the player characters can still approach in a free-form way at the start, where all of the challenges initially are laid out for their appropriate level, and even later on as they level up, they can go tackle the different challenges. They can maybe come across some challenges which haven't been leveled up by the GM, and so they do become easier, but then other challenges have been leveled up and now remain just as hard or get even more difficult. This is a fun type of play for both player and GM, but it requires additional effort for the GM to be leveling up those select few challenges every time the player characters level up themselves. And this is also something that can be challenging depending on the medium in which you run the games. If you're running the games on Foundry VDT, you can get a mod to quickly level characters up and down. I believe the Workbench mod will allow you to level up your threats using the appropriate guideline instead of just adding the elite template. The elite template is not subtle in its approach, so it can feel like a pretty blunt instrument, and I do not recommend using it twice. Don't apply double elite to get someone leveled up twice. That's not how the math of the game aligns. Use the monster building tools to upgrade your threats, or potentially swap out existing monsters with higher level monsters. But again, this version, even though it's accessible to the player characters, it requires a little more work or a lot more work for the GM. Option number 3, which I call Realism mode. In this version, challenges of various threat levels are intermingled, including challenges that the player characters are not equipped to go up against. So the GM seeds a level 3 area with perhaps goblins and orcs and dryads, but also one area where there's a level 13 Dryad Queen and another area where there's a level 10 Horned Dragon. This makes the world and the dangers and the threats feel real, because you never know if you're going to run into a threat that you can tackle, or if there's a threat that you run into and that is just completely out of your league. There's no way to meaningfully interact with it. This keeps you on your toes, but it can also lead you directly into a TPK, a total party kill. So the way to run this mode is to have clear, unambiguous, metagamey communication of the threat levels that the players are encountering. Just tell them the level of the creature that they run into, and then let them decide how they want to approach it. Also, should go without saying, but I'll still say it, don't lock them in with a creature that they cannot tackle. If they decide to go into a cave and it turns out that cave is of a creature that's level 10, don't make it so that the walls close behind them when they enter the lair of this monster. Let them escape. Leave them the option to modulate the difficulty according to their preferences. And then we get to option number 4, which is MMO style. In this version, you have regions that have specific threat levels, well, specific levels of monsters that are there. So the region right around the settlement that the players start out with could be all level 1 appropriate challenges, and then you present the players with maps where you explicitly tell them that beyond this region, to the south, you have levels 2 to 4 challenges, to the north you have levels 5 to 8 challenges, and then far to the east you have challenges that are level 11 plus. So this way the players know where to go first. They know that the challenges will be appropriate. The GM doesn't have to seed every single region. They can just fill out the regions that they think the players are going to go to, because, you know, they're more likely to go to the level appropriate ones. But the downside is that this style of sandbox comes with an artificiality to it. It's this gaminess of realizing that, oh, we are in a low level region, and later we are choosing to go to face higher level threats. So whether or not this style will land really depends on how comfortable your players are with the immersion breaking nature of communicating this level bands of different regions. Okay, there's also a secret 5th option I talk about in the extended Patreon exclusive version of this video. So go check that out at patreon.com/spiritbellgames if you want to hear about the secret 5th option. The video is available for free. You don't have to pay for it. You just have to sign up as a free member, and then you can watch that and other Patreon extended edition videos. So these have been the different options for running Sandbox in Pathfinder 2nd edition. It's a fun style of play, even if you just try it for like a 3-shot or a 5-shot. I recommend that you give it a shot. For now, this is me signing off, wishing you all engaging games.